Ah, the furry fandom, a community that's driven by monstrous creativity that knows no bounds. And not even the world's largest museum could house the amazing works of art that we pump out every single day. And much of that art is driven by what are called Fursonas, which refers to one's character, identity, alter ego, or avatar. Now, what is it that brings these mysterious creatures to fruition?
Ugh, it's like a magnet.
Let's find out.
And hi everyone, my name is Stormi the Folf, and today I want to talk about what it takes to make a Fursona and how you can make one yourself. You don't need a Fursona to be a furry, but it's a good way to make yourself known, maybe get your name out there, and best of all, anyone can make a Fursona. Yes, including you. I see you watching my vid without a Fursona. Don't ask me how I know. Us potatoes can read minds if we try hard enough. You're thinking of why I keep flopping my ears. Ha! Take that, Akinator! And to make a Fursona, it takes an idea. Where does that idea come from? Inspiration! Because without it, we wouldn't have music, movies, art, and yes, the internet. And we'd probably still be living in caves. Or just not exist. It starts with an idea, and it could basically come from almost anything. It could be from a dream you had, an anime, a movie, a video game, someone who motivates you, maybe your best friend, an alter ego, your dark side, your happy-go-lucky side. Yay, everything is all rainbows and pretty and flowers, and I want cupcakes. Might be from a story you wrote, inspiration from a past event in history, Greek mythology, a type of food, or soda. Basically, almost anything you can think of. Is your Fursona witty, sneaky, sly, resourceful, majestic, stubborn, mischievous, magical? Or perhaps they just want to be a do-gooder who just wants the best for everyone. What do they like? What's their favorite food? Their favorite music? What's your favorite things? Why am I asking you all these questions? All these little traits can help you graft together a personality and physical traits for your Fursona. You really want to use your creative juices to the max here. Little defining features like long, fennec ears might imply your Fursona is very loud and outgoing. Or maybe you just really like long ears. While it's cool to put a story behind certain defining traits of your Fursona, you don't really need one, it's just optional. But it can help make for an interesting backstory. What makes this so exciting is that you can basically choose any animal or creature you want. You can make your own hybrids or even choose an original species. The possibilities are virtually endless unless you're crazy enough to crunch some numbers just to prove me wrong. You can be almost any kind of species you want. I say almost because there exists a subgroup of creatures called original species. Original species are owned by a certain entity or person who may set specific rules, guidelines, and may even require you to purchase one from them. For example, you can't make your own Primogen Fursona. You have to purchase one through an auction listed on their website. I made a whole video on original species, which you can check out up above. But yeah, and when it comes to names, you can give your Fursona just about any name you desire. Just don't make a hedgehog Sona and call him Sonic. Or take a Sodaru and call it Bakari. You get my point. You might get away with it for a while, but eventually people are gonna get confused. And maybe even call you out, even though your Fursona might have a completely different personality and appearance than the first Majira Strawberry. It's generally bad practice to make a Fursona that uses the same name and species as another, but sometimes it just happens unintentionally, especially if it's a common name and uses a popular species. In that case, I can't really scold people for doing so, but Anyway, coming up with a name can be a lot of fun, but it can also be a little challenging. I chose Stormy because I love stormy weather, and there are a ton of Stormies in the fandom, but very few Stormis. So I thought to myself, let's change that Y to an I. And then of course a few years later, the Kardashian Stormy shows up, making me think I'm trending in Twitter, when in reality, it's just another Stormy. Way to go, Folf. Way to go. Using a unique name can not only add exclusivity to your Fursona, but it can actually make your Fursona easier to remember, especially if you have a catchy name. It's a good way to market yourself. And of course, your Fursona can be any gender that you desire. No rules here. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Now, when it comes to design, I can't go super in-depth with this subject, otherwise this video will never end, but I'll touch up on the basics. What colors represent you the most? When I was making Stormi, I kept experimenting with lots of different colors. Originally, I was just going to be green and white, but I eventually settled on blue, green, and white. I really like the color blue, and the green seems to match the outlining to the blue as well as my claws. And filling the rest of my persona with white really just sort of filled everything out. It's a simple design basically, aside from the swirls. If you're not sure which colors will best suit your persona, just give it time. I spent several days trying to determine which colors would work best for Stormi. If you're still stuck, take inspiration from one of your favorite hobbies, or do some research on color theory. This is my personal opinion, but you'll have better luck working with complementing colors on a majority of your persona's design. If the colors are immediately noticeable, I want those colors to not clash with each other. And when it comes to color and patterns, the only limit is your imagination. Experiment! Try all kinds of wacky, zany ideas that may come to your mind. And remember, some of the best things were invented out of sheer luck, or even by accident, like the microwave oven. Some popular persona patterns include tipped ears, various markings like swirls or curvy lines, tribal markings, polka dots, different shapes, wavy outlines, stripes, splats, symbols. I could go on and on with this, but I'm not, because that's for another video. Also, heterochromia is a popular design aspect as well. Going back to color theory, while using color wheels can indeed aid you in creating your persona's color patterns, sometimes the colors that you may think would clash or just never go well together end up actually looking really awesome with each other. Like Keckley's fursuit, one of my favorites. Although you can add as many colors as you'd like to your persona, a word of caution should you decide to commission art or even get a fursuit made. If your persona has over 50 colors, be prepared to spend big money. And when it comes to markings on my persona, the most complex part being the offset swirls, which as I've mentioned before, resemble what I love in life, which is Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast. Markings are a great way to give your persona's appearance something unique and exclusive, although they're not required. Remember, this is your persona. You design it however you want. You want a million markings? Sure, that's cool. You don't want any markings? That's rad too. Heck, if you want your persona to have minimal or just no markings and just minimal colors, you can do that too, like this Arctic Fox. And when it comes to drawing, practice makes perfect here. There are mounds and mounds of anthro drawing tutorials on YouTube, but if you don't want to draw your persona, you can commission someone to make your persona a reference sheet. But I would strongly advise you work out all of your persona's details to the best of your ability before commissioning anyone. Some artists won't even do this due to prior customers constantly changing their ideas around after the artist starts drawing, because their persona didn't look exactly the way they imagined in their head. My personal recommendation, which will not only save you money, but possibly an artist's sanity, is to download a free-to-use persona base. This one here is a generic canine base, which you could use for a wolf, coyote, or basically any canine breed persona. Free-to-use persona bases are transparent images you could personalize to match your persona's design, although there are some rules to keep in mind. For example, many bases won't allow you to sell or give it away as an adoptable, regardless of what edits you've made. That means you can only use it for your persona. Additionally, remember to credit back to the artist of the base. That is super important. Follow the rules carefully for the base with respect to the artist. Don't bite the hand that feeds your persona. What does my life come to? For stories, sometimes giving your persona a backstory might provoke additional inspiration towards creating future personas. Like if Stormi had a long-lost brother that was banished because I caught him eating potatoes once. Rules. And when it comes to making a persona, the general rules are don't rip off someone else's. Don't blatantly copy their name, likeness, and personality on purpose. Don't trace over someone else's art. Don't heavily reference someone else's art. However, there is a little caveat to this. There are literally hundreds of thousands of character and persona designs out there. It's almost inevitable that some designs are going to look very similar, if not identical. With that in mind, if you happen to come across a design that looks similar to yours, unless you have a very distinct, unequivocal evidence that the design was plagiarized, don't automatically assume that they ripped off yours or someone else's design on purpose. That will just cause unwanted and unnecessary drama, and we don't want that. That's not to say design theft doesn't happen, because it does from time to time. When it comes to a situation like this, approach it calmly and civilly, and don't go about pointing and such. Now, I know I didn't cover every single design aspect you can implement into making a persona, which is why I'll be saving that for a future video. This is not meant to be an all-inclusive video on making the perfect persona. So if you think I should make a video on designing an actual persona step by step, let me know in the comments. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, share it with the other furry friendos, and subscribe, and bing the little bell, set the reminders, whatever else you have to do to make sure my videos pop up. I also have a Telegram channel if you want to follow me on there, and my Twitter. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye!